Back to channel. Now we are going to start the inguinal canal. So what is inguinal canal actually? It's an oblique passage. You can imagine as in 3D image like over here. Actually it's a canal which is like an oblique passage in the lower part of anterior abdominal wall and it is just above the medial half of inguinal ligament. So if you observe this inguinal canal, it's like just above the medial half of inguinal ligament. So if you see this is the inguinal ligament, so just above it you will find the inguinal canal through which are actually the spermatic cord passes. Okay, so the length and direction actually this canal is like about 4 centimeters and it's 4 centimeters long and it's directed downwards and forwards and medially. Actually this is the lateral side of this canal and this is a medial side. So actually you can see here it's mentioned deep inguinal ring and this is a superficial inguinal ring. So actually the pipe, it's like a pipe like structure. It is having two holes. The anterior hole is where there is deep inguinal ring and the posterior hole is where it has a superficial inguinal ring. So by means of this pipe actually a spermatic cord passes first from the deep inguinal ring towards the superficial inguinal ring. So this is a medial side and this is a lateral side. Okay, so this pipe, this is like 4 centimeters. Okay, and the inguinal canal extends from deep inguinal ring to superficial inguinal ring. The deep inguinal ring is oval opening in the fascia transversalis and it's like above the mid inguinal point and immediately lateral to stem of inferior epigastric artery. So you can see just lateral to inferior epigastric artery you will find this deep inguinal ring and this ring is if you see the deep inguinal ring, it's having an oval shape opening, whereas if you see the superficial inguinal ring, it is having a triangular shape opening. Okay, and superficial inguinal ring is a triangular gap in the external oblique aponeurosis. So it's a present in external oblique aponeurosis, whereas deep inguinal ring is present in fascia transversalis. Okay, so how to understand it? I will show another diagram to understand it more clearly. So in this diagram it would be better. Actually our inguinal ring is inguinal canal is passing from, you can see here this is a fascia transversalis, right? So from here our inguinal canal passes outward to the external oblique. So from here imagine this is an inguinal canal, so it will start from here and it will pass like this outward. So here it's having a triangular opening, that is superficial ring, right? And this is a deep inguinal ring which is having an oval opening. So like this it is piercing this many muscles and coming outward. So what are the muscles from outside to like inside? If you see, first you have fascia transversalis, next you have transverse abdominis, after that you have an internal oblique and external oblique, and finally you have triangular outlet. From here comes the spermatic cord. Actually our testis also descends in the same direction. Testis also passes by means of this inguinal canal and next it enters downward like this and it will be like this over here. So this is how the testis also descending from the abdomen and into this original position. Actually in small baby boys you will find this testis in abdomen. It will descend downward by means of inguinal canal and in adults it will be present over this position. So about that of course we'll discuss later. So first now we are mainly discussing about the inguinal canal. Okay, it's a pipe like structure. So this triangular superficial inguinal ring is present in external oblique aponeurosis. And if you see its shape, it's like obtuse angle triangle. And the base of the triangle is formed by the pubic crest. Okay. And the two sides of triangle are from the lateral or lower, the medial or upper margins of opening, and it is 2.5 long, 1.2 centimeter broad at base. So this margin are referred as crura. Actually this margins of this triangle are referred as crura. At and beyond the apex of triangle, the two crura are united by intercrural fibers. Actually here the two cruras, you can see these are two cruras. These two cruras are united at the apex over here by intercrural fibers. Okay. Now coming to the boundaries. So what are the boundaries of inguinal canal? So the anterior wall is formed by whole extent like skin, superficial fascia, external oblique aponeurosis. As I said, the superficial inguinal ring is present in external oblique aponeurosis, right? So the anterior wall, this is inguinal canal, right? So anterior to it, what you have skin first. After skin, you have the superficial fascia. After that, you have the external oblique aponeurosis, right? And in the lateral 1/3, there is also fleshy fibers of internal oblique aponeurosis. Internal oblique muscle. So this is forming anterior relations to the inguinal canal. Coming to the posterior wall, the posterior wall is formed by the fascia transversalis, the extraperitoneal tissue, and parietal peritoneum. So for this, let me again show another diagram. Before that, we'll also discuss the medial two-thirds. Actually, the medial two-thirds. So what is medial side and lateral side? Let us find out. Actually, this is our medial side and this is the lateral side. So mainly the medial two-thirds is formed by conjoint tendon also will be here, and also by the medial end of reflected part of inguinal ligament. If you remember, inguinal ligament have reflected part, it will also present over here, and also over its lateral 1/3 by interfoveolar ligament. On lateral 1/4 there is interfoveolar ligament. So I'll show that diagram. So imagine this, as I already said, this is an inguinal canal, right? So this is an anterior border to inguinal canal, anterior relations, and this is posterior to it, okay? So anteriorly, if you see, there is an external oblique muscle aponeurosis, right? Of course, after the skin, superficial fascia, next you'll find this external oblique aponeurosis, which is an anterior relation to inguinal canal. So coming to the posterior side, you can see easily the fascia transversalis over here. So fascia transversalis is the one which divides the transverse abdominis muscle from the peritoneum. So this is a peritoneum. So posteriorly, you'll have peritoneum, fascia transversalis, right? And also you'll have some extra peritoneal tissue. So now let us see what is forming the roof. This is the roof, and below you have the floor. So now let us discuss about the roof of the inguinal canal. So the roof is formed by arch fibers of internal oblique and transverse abdominis muscle, okay? So internal oblique and transverse abdominis will form the roof. Next, coming to the floor, you can see here clearly the floor is grooved upper surface of inguinal ligament, and its medial end is formed by the lacunar ligament over here, okay? So actually, what is the sex difference between this inguinal canal? Inguinal canal is larger in males when compared with females. Why? Because it need to pass the spermatic cord, which should descend downward, and also it should descend the testis downward, right? So that's why in the male the inguinal canal is longest. Next, coming to the structures which are passing through this canal. What structures are passing? Mainly, if you see in the case of male, of course you can see this is in the male itself, the spermatic cord is passing, and also in female there is a round ligament of uterus, okay, which enters the inguinal canal through the deep inguinal ring, either in male or female. In male, the spermatic cord also enters by means of deep inguinal ring. In female, the round ligament of uterus also enters by means of deep inguinal ring, and it enters this canal. So after entering to this canal, through the deep inguinal ring and passes out through superficial inguinal ring, we know this. Next, coming to ilioinguinal nerve, there is also a nerve called ilioinguinal nerve which enters the canal through the interval between external and internal oblique muscles. You know that. Let me show that diagram. So ilioinguinal nerve pass between the groove between the external and internal oblique muscle, and it will enter the canal, right? And of course, it will pass out by means of superficial inguinal ring. Now coming to the constituents of spermatic cord, like what are the structures which are forming spermatic cord. So let us switch on to other diagram. So not this one, also this one. So actually if you take a transverse section, if you cut it like this, and if you see from a transverse side, then you will see these are the contents of spermatic cord, constituents of spermatic cord. So here in this diagram you can see this is the spermatic cord which is descending the testis downward, you can see. So now if you cut this cord over here like this transverse section, then you can see the structure. So first you have the ductus deferens. So in this diagram you can see this is the ductus deferens, okay. Next you have the testicular and cremasteric arteries. You can see artery to cremaster and the testicular artery over here, and also there is artery to ductus deferens. So where is that artery to ductus deferens? Of course it should supply to this ductus deferens, so beside it only you will find the artery to ductus deferens. Next you also have the Pampiniform plexus of veins. So these are the veins, these are called as veins of Pampiniform plexus. And next you have the lymph vessels from the testis. So there are also like different lymph vessels over here, you can see, right? And next you have the genital branch of genitofemoral nerve. This yellow color represented, and also there is plexus of sympathetic nerves around the artery to ductus deferens. So around the artery to ductus deferens there are like sympathetic plexus around it, okay? And next comes the remains of processus vaginalis. It will also be somewhere over here. Of course it's not mentioned in this diagram, but the remains of you can mention it over here like that. The remains of processus vaginalis will be over somewhere over here in this spermatic cord itself. Now coming to the covering. So just now we understood what are present, what are the contents inside the spermatic cord. So what is covering outside, like what is covering it from outside? Let us now know that. So for that you should see this diagram. Actually the coverings are like from within outwards. If you see, there is internal spermatic fascia. The internal spermatic fascia will be inside, which is derived from fascia transversalis. So you can see this is the fascia transversalis. So the fascia transversalis only will form the internal spermatic fascia, okay? You can see it here clearly. So this is an internal spermatic fascia which covers the cord in the whole extent, okay? And next you have the cremastric fascia. So you can see here this orange color, this is a cremastric fascia which is made up of muscle loop constituting cremaster muscle and intervening the areolar tissue. It is derived from internal oblique and transverse abdominis muscle. So actually the transverse abdominis, you can see here this is the internal oblique, and below it of course you will have the transverse abdominis. So this both muscles together, you can see this orange color, it's only continuing downwards around the testes to form the cremasteric fascia. And next you have the external spermatic fascia. So the external spermatic fascia, you can see it's coming from the green line. What is that green line? It's an aponeurosis of external oblique. So from external oblique only it continues downward to form an external spermatic fascia, which is derived from external oblique aponeurosis, and it covers the cord below the superficial inguinal ring. So one thing you need to understand here, that the coverings of this cord are nothing but they are coming from our muscles which are present in abdomen itself, but just the name is changing. So what are those? If you see the outermost layer, the first layer, if you see it is an extraperitoneal connective tissue, okay? After that you see it's a fascia transversalis. So like transverse abdominis muscle will be over here, right? After that you have fascia transversalis. After that you have conjoint tendon here, and this is a reflected part of inguinal ligament, and this is an internal oblique, and this is an external oblique. I think you are remembering the structure here. So if you see here this diagram, first you will have external oblique, next you have internal oblique, next you have transverse abdominis, next you have fascia transversalis. So what we have discussed that from the fascia transversalis our inguinal canal is passing and it is coming outward to external oblique, and from there it will descend downward. So these structures, like from external oblique, all these structures will descend downward around the testes, but the names are changing. So the names of like if you see the example cremasteric fascia, it is coming nothing but from the internal oblique muscle. And if you see the aponeurosis of external oblique, it is nothing but forming the external spermatic fascia. So just the names are changing, but the muscles are same. The same abdominal muscles are continuing around the testes and they are forming the covering for the spermatic cord. Now let us discuss about the mechanism of inguinal canal. So actually the presence of inguinal canal is a cause of weakness in lower part of anterior abdominal wall. This weakness is compensated by obliquity of inguinal canal. The two inguinal rings do not lie opposite to each other. Therefore, whenever there is any high intra-abdominal pressure, the anterior and posterior walls of canal are approximated, thus obliterating the passage, and this is known as flap valve mechanism. For what is this? You can see here this is the inguinal canal. Actually if you see the anterior opening and the posterior opening, that is a deep inguinal ring and the superficial inguinal ring, they are not in the same line, they are opposite to each other. Why they are opposite? Because whenever there is any high intra-abdominal pressure, then the anterior and posterior walls are approximated so that they obliterate the passage, and this is called as flap valve mechanism. Next, coming to superficial inguinal ring, it's guarded from behind by conjoint tendon. Behind, if you see, this is a conjoint tendon, right? So it is guarded behind by conjoint tendon and by a reflected part of inguinal ligament. Next, coming to the deep inguinal ring. The deep inguinal ring is guarded from front by fleshy fibers of internal oblique. You can see internal oblique. So fleshy fibers of internal oblique is guarding the deep inguinal ring over here. And the shutter mechanism of internal oblique, this muscle has triple relation to inguinal canal. It forms anterior wall, it forms roof, it forms posterior wall. So when it contracts, the roof is approximated to the floor like a shutter. So arching fibers of transverses also take part in shutter mechanism. So what they mean is internal oblique is having many relations with inguinal canal. So internal oblique is having a shutter mechanism. Next, coming to contraction of cremaster muscle. So the contraction of cremaster muscle helps the spermatic cord to plug the superficial inguinal ring, the ball valve mechanism. Next, coming to contraction of external oblique. You can see this is external oblique. So contraction of this muscle results in approximation of two crura of superficial inguinal ring, that is called as slit valve mechanism, and the integrity of superficial inguinal ring is greatly increased by intercrural fibers. Next, coming to hormones. Different hormones play a role in maintaining the tone of inguinal musculature. So whenever there is rise in intra-abdominal pressure, example like in coughing, sneezing, lifting heavy weights, all this mechanism come into play so that the inguinal canal is obliterated and its openings are closed and herniation of abdominal viscera is prevented. So actually just now what all we discussed is about like this is actually, this black color represents the spermatic cord, right? So this is a remnant of peritoneum. So this remnants of peritoneum are present here so that it prevents the abdominal viscera to come into this cord. So whenever this abdominal viscera cannot come into the cord, then it will not lead to hernia. But if this abdominal content will come into the cord, then it will lead to hernia. So to prevent hernia, there are like many mechanisms in the our cord. So by this we have completed about inguinal canal. Next we will discuss about the development of inguinal canal and also inguinal hernia, different types of inguinal hernia like direct and indirect inguinal hernia in another video.